My name is Alexa Gertishkin. I'm from Mount Vernon High School, and I'm performing this original oratory for the 2021 Washington State IE tournament. What are you ladies gossiping about? Hey, you're taking notes on this, right? What, is it that time of the month? We'd better watch out. Calm down, you're being hysterical. Hey, you should really smile more. These phrases that run from well-meaning but poorly worded to intentional dismissal of a woman's ability are a daily occurrence in our lives defined as microaggressions. The death by 1,000 cuts. As reported by Women in the Workplace, 64% of women experience microaggressions on a daily basis, leading to physical as well as mental harms that manifest themselves on the local and global level. Yet, by first recognizing these comments as a form of structural violence, and then acknowledging our own role in propagating microaggressions, can we finally move to create spaces that are more inclusive for all genders. To begin, we must examine how sexism permeates every aspect of our culture. For example, we've all heard the classic Valley Girl accent play out. Brittany from Daria, Cher from Clueless, and most of the main female characters in Heathers all share that hallmark quavering voice that peaks up in intonation at the end of the sentence. Ugh, as if. In the real world, speech pathologists describe this pattern as uptalk. And as the University of California discovered, this pattern actually dates all the way back to the 1950s. Dr. Amanda Reichart explains that historically, uptalk has been a floor-holding technique, where women, expecting to be interrupted or ignored in professional settings, place increased emphasis on the end of their sentence to make sure they're able to actually finish what they're saying. However, today, uptalk has been trivialized to denote a shallow girl of low intelligence who thinks of nothing but what lip gloss she should wear to the mall next week. Furthermore, the stigmatization of women's vocal patterns has spread. When you look for vocal fry, the throaty, nasally voice epitomized by celebrities like Kim Kardashian or Britney Spears, articles like, "Young women, ditch the vocal fry and reclaim your strong female voice" come up. Yet, these perspectives function to encourage women to conform to patriarchal standards of what a voice should sound like, instead of taking a step back and recognizing that the tone policing that runs rampant in today's society is silencing generations of women. This trend of capable and intelligent women being looked down upon continues through mansplaining. Found everywhere from the classroom to the boardroom, mansplaining has been present for the duration of the patriarchy. Kate Mann, author of the book Entitled, explains that numerous societal components have all worked in tandem to make mansplaining a mainstay in today's society. The first is the assumption made on the part of the man that a woman can't possibly know as much as he does on a subject. This works in tandem with the socialization men undergo to constantly feel like they're the most powerful in any dynamic they enter, and the pressure women undergo to be polite. The result is the term himpathy, which describes women's reluctance to call out mansplaining even when they're experts on a subject, due to societal feelings of guilt that are produced in women after creating shame in men. Mansplaining, so easily laughed off, furthers the societal perception of males as those who are most capable, while diminishing the expertise of knowledgeable women worldwide. Allowing for sexism to go unnoticed when it isn't overt has become our new status quo. Negative stereotyping harms women's careers by making them less likely to join male-dominated fields and less likely to be offered promotions across all areas of work. Research from Psychology of Women Quarterly found that microaggressions shared similar symptoms to PTSD and made women more likely to turn to binge drinking or smoking as a coping mechanism. Further research links our societal double standards to disordered eating and mental illness rising in increasing rates. And sexism that seems indirect leads directly to real-world violence. Because as the University of Sussex explains, sexism that seems indirect actually allows for misogynistic overtones and for rape culture to seem more excusable, making women afraid to share out their stories or reach out for help when they truly need it. It's easy to let a sexist joke slide in the moment because, whatever, but when we realize that microaggressions perpetuate the global suppression of women, it becomes much harder to awkwardly laugh them off. In the United States, this is seen through the lack of female representation in politics. The Democratic primaries this year had one of the most diverse candidate fields we've seen in recent years. And yet, despite Democrats priding themselves on progressive ideas about gender, a Washington Post analysis revealed that covert sexism was still a driving factor in candidate selection. When the least sexist voter quartile was analyzed, Elizabeth Warren was neck and neck with Joe Biden for votes. However, when the most sexist quartile was analyzed, this plummeted by an astounding 30%. Additionally, and somewhat ironically, a Utah State University study found that women who experienced higher levels of internalized misogyny were voting. They were more likely to uplift candidates who promote sexist ideals or misogynistic policies. These factors become barriers to us having a truly representative government, hurting our soft power and undermining our democratic ideals. Additionally, this effect is mirrored globally, with numerous studies noting that increasing the number of women involved in peacemaking leads directly to more positive outcomes. And yet, even in 2020, only 9% of UN peace negotiators were women. When women are excluded from these discussions, issues that impact marginalized groups are ignored or swept under the rug entirely, making it more difficult for sustainable and lasting peace to be created. Asking the woman in the room to get coffee, expecting them to take notes, interrupting their input. These actions may seem small on a day-by-day basis, but they are leading to a tidal wave impact that's causing the global suppression of women from true and unbridled success. Here's the thing. In academic spaces like debate, it's especially easy for us to distance ourselves from these issues. We like to consider ourselves beyond the reach of sexism, influenced by concrete facts and unbiased paradigms alone. However, Harvard Political Review explains in 2020 that female-identifying debaters have a win rate of approximately 30% in front of male judges, despite equal competitive skill with their competitors. Even here in Washington, subtle sexism in forensics has become our norm. So, here's my own story, as hard as it is to tell. In congressional debates, I've received multiple ballots asking me to tone down my aggression or saying that I should smile more. But one particular instance epitomizes the moment I felt unwelcome in the community I love. My sophomore year, I was competing in a completely normal Congress round. I had just sat down after giving my speech clashing with the other senators, some of whom were equally impassioned female debaters. There was a lull before the next speech, and the parliamentarian, a coach from our area, stood up and announced to the room in a laughing manner that some senators needed to stop being so bitchy. Stop being so bitchy. At that moment, every voice of every woman in the room was suppressed as the toxicity of the comment hung in the air, stifling us in an arena that prides itself on open discourse. Debate has been a critical tool in uplifting me. It's helped in healing my mental health, it's led me to my future career, and it's taught me to share my ideas with the world. But debate is not free from criticism. Our love for this activity must manifest itself as a desire for all of us to create a truly inclusive community. Because when we all do better, we all do better. The most difficult thing about addressing everyday sexism is that it seems normal for us all. By holding ourselves accountable and calling out others, it becomes easier to break down the barriers women are facing step by step. Asking the perpetrator questions that call for clarification in their actions is an easy way to make people reconsider what they're saying without making them feel attacked, thus making them more susceptible to actually educating themselves on the impact their words hold. For women, coping with internalized misogyny can involve reaching out to a mental health professional, or simply beginning to break down conformity to societal stereotypes. In the end, the daily words we wield impact the women in our lives. You're taking notes, right? What is it, that time of the month? Calm down, you're being hysterical. Casual commentary that has immense consequences. But when we acknowledge the role we all play in perpetuating these microaggressions, Then we take the first steps in creating truly inclusive spaces that welcome all voices. And that is something that would make us all smile more.